Well, let's get to it because there's a lot to get to,
and
we can babble about other things. We got some good stuff coming up, but we opened with Haason Reddick from a very long time ago when he wanted a new contract, and the Eagles decided we're just going to trade him. They've got that great rotation of pass rushers. You have a guy who wants more than you want to pay. They made some moves in free agency, right? Who's the guy they signed from the Jets? Gimme.
Bryce Huff. Bryce Huff.
Right. They've got rising talent in Jalen Carter. Like, okay, Haason Reddick's been around for a while. Not that he's old, but he's been around for a while.
Yep.
He's been a very good pass rusher. He not intentionally delivered a Super Bowl berth by hitting Brock Purdy early in the NFC Championship game to cap the 2022 season and help make it not a fair fight to get the Eagles into Super Bowl 57. But he wanted out or a contract. So they don't give him the contract, and they give him a way out. And we've been saying this from the get-go. And this applies to, and I'll go through the ones that I always mention.
Yeah.
Laremy Tunsil when he was traded from the Dolphins to the Texans.
Right.
Jamal Adams when he was traded from the Jets to the Seahawks. And Jalen Ramsey when he was traded from the Jaguars to the Rams. When you trade for a guy who wants a new contract, you make a new contract a condition of the entire transaction because once you've given up assets for the player, all the leverage goes to the player as the player waits for his new contract. So why would you ever do it? Why would any team, and this should be the shining example that we can plant a flag for the other 31 teams to realize, never, ever, with no exceptions, trade for a guy who wants a new contract unless you have the contract done and you say to him, we're not trading for you until you sign this.
Mike, I agree with you there, right? I mean, yes, I think, most times in these type of scenarios, 100% right? You get that contract done, right? You don't let the player go to a new team, have this wait, what's going on, and you start off on the wrong foot. We know that's not a recipe for success. I agree with you there. Now, I will say this. I think this one is a little different than some of the ones you brought up, right? I know at a base level, hey, it's a trade. We need a new contract. Sure, I get all of that as well. Right now, hey, there's the reporting out there, and we'll get into that, he gave them his word to a degree that he'd be there and all that. But I don't know. I hear you. Right. I'm not putting too much stock into that.
That's team propaganda linked to a beat writer who will say whatever the team wants him to say.
That's right.
I disregard that as anything other than this is the team's excuse for stepping in shit.
Yeah, I hear you there.
7:07.
I hear you there. Hello. Good morning on a Tuesday.
Good morning.
But
enjoy your breakfast.
Okay, so here's the other aspect of it. And I think at a base level, you're totally correct, and I'm with you 100%. I do think there's a little nuance here, though, right, with Haason Reddick. First off, the three guys you just mentioned are special, right? Laremy Tunsil is still looked at as maybe the best pass-protecting left tackle in football. Jalen Ramsey, when he was traded to the Rams, was arguably, if not definitely, the best DB in football. And the other one, I can't remember who the other
Jamal
name.
Adams.
Jamal Adams, of course, was in the prime of his career, and we were going, wait, is he one of the best defensive players in the game altogether, right? So I do think that's a little different here. I don't think Haason Reddick is quite in that hierarchy. This is not TJ Watt. This is not Nick Bosa to where the Jets are like, wait, you're our guy. We drafted you. Ooh, no, we can't play, or we're not going to be a good defense without you. Again, they got two young guys there already. They have a little depth, the Jets, at the position. They're not desperate for Haason Reddick. He was more of icing on the cake. Let's keep a plethora of pass rushers, right? Like the Seattle scheme does, so we can get after the quarterback all the time. So that would be the first nuance to me that is at least a little bit different here with this situation compared to the rest, right? It's a good combo. I got more, too, so let's keep talking.
I don't disagree with what you're saying,
right?
But the point still holds.
It does.
It doesn't matter how important the guy is to your team, and the trade compensation reflected the relative value of Haason Reddick to Jamal Adams, Jalen Ramsey, and Laremy Tunsil. The point is, the guy wants a new contract. You have maximum leverage to get him to agree to your terms when you are throwing him the life preserver to get him away from the situation he wants out of. So you get him to agree to it, or you say, hey, no contract, no trade. It's that simple, Haason and Haason's representatives. You either agree to these terms or we're leaving you in Philadelphia. period.
Well,
and we're not going to give something
right.
up that we can't get back because you're not going to show up. And yeah, they got all the devices. Oh, we're going to fund. And they're puffing and puffing. And yeah,
I know. I hear you.
But they want the player.
Yeah.
You didn't trade for the player so you could squeeze the player out of money. You traded for the player so he'll be on the field sacking quarterbacks. You don't want this.
No.
You want the player.
I'm with you. I'm with you there. And I don't disagree with what you're saying there, too. Now, where I do think it's odd is that they come to this agreement and all that. And the Jets, we've never heard at any point, right? And again, I don't know this stuff all the way through. And we're kind of hearing through, other sources and all that. But I will say my life following the NFL, it is a little – I don't think the Jets are so stupid to trade for a guy and then just go, oh, wait, he's going to want this new big contract. And we've never heard anything about them saying new contract, any talk about it at all, right? It had the feeling of when he got traded, wait, this is weird. He wants a new contract. Is he going to ask for a new contract? Okay, wait, I don't hear anything about that. All right, he was just pissed off, sorry, London, about the Eagles in that situation. So he's happy just to get to a new place, and he's not going to make the situation about the contract, as he kind of referred to a little bit in the press conference. So that's where it was a little weird, too. Just as an outside bystander and a guy that listens and pays attention to everything in football, I will say that's a little odd. I don't think the Jets are that stupid or uncaring of their players that they get. So I don't know that I guess it interests me as well. It's a little weird there is what I'm saying.
And there's a twist to this. Somebody raised this with me yesterday, and at first I thought it was very stupid by Haason Reddick to do this, and now I'm thinking maybe it was smart for him to do it.
Yeah.
Somebody reached out to me and said, look, he shouldn't have shown up. He shouldn't have shown up. They traded him to the Jets. Don't show up. Don't go for the physical. Don't show up, because if you don't show up, the trade eventually reverts back to the Eagles. But from his perspective, I think he wants the trade to go through because then he holds the leverage over the Jets because they've made the trade compensation investment to get him so he can squeeze them for a new contract. The problem is there's been a miscalculation as to whether or not the squeeze will work because it hasn't worked because the Jets didn't bite. And this is where the reporting from SNY comes into play, where it's got the fingerprints of the team all over it. I know that reporters, they get, don't guess our sources. Well, how many people in the world could it have been? Like, not all of us, but I think a lot of people in this business think they're Woodward and Bernstein and they're diving around in dumpsters and putting shredded papers back together again and hacking phones and have secret sources that are in disguise. It's bullshit. It's either the team or it's the player who's your source. And the content of the report 95% of the time tells you who the source is.
Yes,
it's
does.
The team putting out, he was fine. We told him what was going on and he was fine with it. Don't blame us for trading for the guy without getting a new contract. He told us he was fine with it. And as I've said multiple times in this chair, promises like that are not worth the paper that they aren't printed on. It's completely unenforceable. It doesn't mean anything. Maybe it's a little bit of a clunky PR move, but it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
You can say anything. All that matters is the contract.
Yeah, I agreed there. Now where it's odd, right, and going back to some of your earlier references, right, with Tunzel and Ramsey and Adams and all that, right, those teams, when they made the trade, they clearly stated from the get-go, we're going to work on a deal. We're going to get it done. We're going to do it. Now, was it the right way to do it, and should they have got it done earlier, to your point? 100%. I'm with you, right? And these are also guys, again, that were in the prime of their career, so you knew they had lots of years left in front of them as well. That was part of it. So I think that's where it's a little different, okay? Never at any point did we hear anything from all the people we know. I know people with the Jets. You know people with the Jets. The league itself. We would have heard if there was, hey, yeah, they told them they're going to, do them a solid. They're going to get this contract done. So I'll just say that's a little bit, I'll throw the challenge flag. I'd like to continue to review that in the instant replay booth, all right? But the other part of this is, okay, is this good for Haason Reddick? A guy who I love players, and we both like to see them get paid. Is this good for Haason Reddick? I'm not sure it is the right move for him. For a guy that I root for, I know is a good guy. I've heard that from everybody around the NFL, right? So I know that, but he's in a situation here where the Jets, we know, are talented, and in the Super Bowl window, their roster is Super Bowl caliber, right? I don't think any of us would disagree with that. The defense is...
As long as everybody stays healthy.
Exactly right. The defense is real, right? They do have some contracts coming down the pipe here as far as they're going to have to pay Sauce Gardner, the highest paid corner in football, and all that after this year, right? They're paying Quinnen Williams big money. We know they got some other guys coming up as well.
Garrett Wilson's coming up,
Garrett
too.
Wilson's coming up. They got older guys they're going to have to try to move on for or repay or whatever else. That's all going on. They got Jermaine Johnson as a D end who's a damn good player they drafted in the first round who's going into year 3. Will McDonald, another D end who was drafted in the top 15, who's pretty damn good. And if you hear anything from the Jets or reports from camps, he's kicking butt there. So my point is the Jets aren't desperate for Haason Reddick. My other point is Haason Reddick is in a part of his career where, man, are you just going to let some of this money, wash down the toilet and waste this money like this? And again, what I would say is he's not Nick Bosa or TJ Watt. He's damn good, but he's not them. And I just don't know if this is the best for him. And I really mean that honestly, because he's here on a team with the Jets where you and I both know they have a chance to be good, right? He might have a chance to really pad his stats. And as we all know, you get in the playoffs and get a few sacks in the playoff games and all that, and it's cha-ching, 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 and it continues to go up your price for next year. And that's where I don't want him to hurt himself and not be at his best when he does get in there. And back to our conversation, usually guys aren't as good when they don't go through training camp and all that from yesterday. I said a lot there. I'm sorry, but I just wanted to make my point.
Sacks can be misleading
Yeah.
because it's the product of a lot of factors,
That's
including
right.
just dumb luck. The quarterback happens to be there once you've beaten your guy.
Yeah.
I think some would value even more the F up the play stat that we're
You
still
know
trying
that.
to get the Elias Sports Bureau to officially recognize. But still, last 4 years, 2020 with Arizona, 12.5 sacks.
Yeah.
21 with Carolina, 11 sacks. 22 with Eagles, Pro Bowl, 16 sacks. 23 with the Eagles, Pro Bowl, 11 sacks. 4 straight years of double-digit sacks is not, man, this guy's just lucky. This guy's good.
No, right.
And, yeah, look, he's not going to have 22, but I'll take a guy that's going to give me double digits.
I hear you.
And I'm going to put him in my rotation.
Right.
And the offensive line is eventually going to wear down. This is the Eagles' approach. 7 or 8 guys that
That's
are constantly coming in, and by the fourth quarter, the offensive line can't keep up with them because they're still relatively fresh, and the offensive line is worn out from trying to chase them around.
That's right. I mean, you're 100% right. That's how Robert Saleh won a Super Bowl, right? Coaching for the Seattle Seahawks and being a part of that staff. That's what they had in the Legion of Boom. A rotation where you went, man, the second 4 could start for a lot of teams in the NFL too. Forget the starting D lineman. The second 4 guys are legit. That's what they're trying to replicate. I get that. I understand that. Now, he's really good, and I would want him on my team. But to your point and to what you're saying here, hey, again, he's not Nick Bosa or TJ Watt or one of those. There's a reason the teams keep going, hey, he's good. We liked him, but we don't want to, be beholden to him forever as a franchise player. Right? He's got great value as a pass rusher. There's no doubt. But so I ask you, do you think this is the best thing for Haason Reddick right now with what he's doing? And I know we're both in the camp of, get him more money. We want you to get more money. I'm all for that. But realistically, that would be my thing that I would say to him, his agent, whatever, is I just don't think this is the best thing for him at this point of his career and where he's at to maximize future earnings. This is the right approach, and that's where I don't agree with it totally.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.